Hello, my name is Dwayne Roskoski. I'm an environmental engineering specialist with the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, Waste Management and Radiological Protection Division. Today we are going to be recording one of a series of informational modules on the proposed legislative changes to the Michigan Solid Waste Management Law, Part 115 of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act. The modules are intended to provide an update to interested parties on the most recent version of the proposed changes. Please note that the legislative changes proposed to date are in draft form and are subject to further changes. Furthermore, the registration and general permit requirements discussed in this module are also in draft form and are subject to further changes. This module will cover a specific portion of the materials utilization facilities, which include composting facilities, anaerobic digesters, innovative technology, or practice facilities. The material recovery facility module has already been recorded in a separate module and is available for viewing. All right, so the first thing that will be covered in this is oversight of materials utilization facilities. We'll be talking about such things as location, design, operating requirements, notification, registration, general permits, and inspections. First topic we're going to talk about is composting. So we've broken out the various organic materials into two different classes, what we call Class 1 and Class 2 compostable material. So Class 1s are your standard materials that have been composted for a number of years and include such things as yard waste, food processing residuals, manures, animal bedding, and such. The second class is called Class 2 compostable materials, which in our minds are a little bit more contaminated or take an extra oversight. So these kinds of materials include biosolids, mixed municipal solid waste, controlled substances, and any other material that may be organic in nature. All right, composting regulation changes. So first of all, there'll be a number of exempted activities which include being composted on site, being composted and used on a farm, composted at a landfill, provided all the material is used at the landfill, and composted at an exempt compost facility. These are the smaller facilities that contain less than 500 cubic yards of Class 1 compostable materials. So the non-exempt facilities, you see three different categories here, from the small facility, which range from 500 to 1,000 cubic yards, a medium, from 1,000 to 10,000, and then the large facilities or any facility over 10,000 cubic yards. And you see there's differences in how they must notify, register, or obtain a permit with us, but all sites must comply with all other environmental regulations. Okay, here's the requirements for exempt facilities. So they must comply with local zoning, cannot create a nuisance, and must comply with the Part 31 surface water and groundwater standards. Now the next larger size is notifying. They must do all the same things and report to us on a yearly basis the amount of materials that they manage. For the register facilities, they're going to end up paying us a fee. They're going to have a yearly inspection. They must comply with all the other conditions for the smaller sites, like local zoning, not create ordinance or nuisance conditions, or violate Part 31. And they must also report to us on a yearly basis. Now, for the biggest facilities, we will be issuing what we call a general permit. So they must be consistent with the county materials management plans, and they must develop and submit these various other plans for us to review, including operations plan, a site plan, odor management plan, marketing plan, training plan, and fire protection prevention plan. Additional requirements to compost the Class 2 materials, which include biosolids and those other materials, since we really don't have a whole lot of information on the amount of contaminants that could be in these things will have to be composted on a liner, a pad, in a building, or some kind of containment. If they are doing biosolids, they're also going to need to develop a residuals management plan, which will detail how the materials will be used. Okay, here's the requirements for a residuals management plan. So they're going to need to talk about the land application methods, provide all the sites to us, site information. They're going to have to ensure that they have pathogen reduction, written approval from the landowner, site restrictions if they make a Class B biosolids, and a spill prevention and response plan. So the bigger sites are going to require financial assurance. So the agreement that we came to with the work group is we're going to require a $20,000 bond for all sites that contain over 10,000 cubic yards. Now, in reality, depending on how good of credit that these sites have, those bonds will probably cost between $200 and $1,000 per year. All right. Then the next class of materials utilization facilities we're going to talk about is anaerobic digestion. So we're going to have exempt classes just like we did for the composting. So any manufacturer that generates their own waste and has an on-site anaerobic digester will be exempt. So facilities that'll be required to notify us are ones that mainly manage their own material, plus they can take up to 20% materials from off-site. Now, once you take more than 20% materials from off-site, then you're going to need to register with us. And then a general permit, these would be for the commercial operations that do not generate any of the waste and get 100% of the material from off-site. So these guys may take a Class 1 or Class 2 compostable materials, and they too will be required to have financial assurance of $20,000. Now, in the statute, there's a category called innovative technology. So it means a materials management facility that converts waste to energy when you use a whole product and is not one of the previously discussed types of facilities. It requires a third-party closure estimate, financial assurance, a general permit, and a permit fee of $1,000. At this point, we're not really sure what these types of facilities may be. I guess what comes to mind to me would maybe be a gasification facility, a pyrolysis facility, things like that. And the next steps. So here we are at the end of this. So we'll be trying to find a sponsor to reintroduce the bill in this session. And any comments or questions that you guys have, you should get to Liz Brown, and we'll take all these questions. And then in the future, we will have a live webinar to discuss all the questions that people came up with. Thank you for joining me today.